So let's get this live started. As I said, my name is Suzanne Hart. It is time for Unstoppable Mindset. What we do here is we provide you with breakthrough strategies each and every week to reset your thinking. This is mindset mastery. This is the ability to master your thoughts, your emotions, your communication with yourself, but also the communication you put into the world to line up in such a way that you have such alignment that the things that you're called to do and the habits that move you forward happen with ease. This is the access to waking up every day filled with passion and totally on purpose. This is to become unstoppable. So welcome and join us. Our topic tonight is why vulnerability is a strength and not a weakness. A hidden strength and not a weakness. That is what we're going to be talking about. So you're probably going, she's back. This is my girl, social media strategist, my partner in crime around these topics, speaker mastery, Taria Hodge. Ooh. Now, let me tell you a little bit about Taria. Taria has been on a journey with me. And the other day, we were on a call. I saw her tell her story, vulnerability, authenticity, connection, moving the audience, that when she passed it to me, I was like this. She was that good. I forgot where I was. That is the power of story. So Trio, welcome. I'm so excited you're here.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me on again. It's always a great time when we get together and we sit down for these wonderful conversations that we just, have between us, and we allow our audience to have a sneak peek behind the conversation. So I'm glad to be here.
I am so excited to have this conversation. I see Sue Fields has joined us. Hey, Sue, wonderful to see you. It has been a minute. This woman is so special, Miss Sue Fields. I am so glad you're here. All right, so we're in our speaker mastery part of Unstoppable Mindset. And what speaker mastery is storytelling, empowered communication, and your ability to create connection no matter what platform you're on. So whether you're speaking on a real stage, a live stage, whether you're speaking on a virtual stage and you're coming to someone via a camera, whether you're writing and posting on social media or dropping a short or long video, the question is, how do you touch, move, and inspire your audience? How do you create a connection? So I want to start with when you hear vulnerability is your hidden strength, not a uncomfortable weakness, Taria, what originally came to mind for you?
I don't believe it. I don't believe it. And for years, when I tell you years, I don't think I could have ever said the word vulnerability. It was one of those things when when I try to say vulnerable, all sorts of things will start to happen. I get tongue-tied. I break out into cold sweats. I start to itch, a little bit. And I just did not like the idea of being vulnerable. So it was very, very, very hard for me, to be vulnerable and share, from that place, because, I too used to think that vulnerability is a weakness, right? Mm-hmm. And when you're vulnerable, then people will see you different, they'll treat you different. And especially in our space, we won't show up like the expert, that we are, because we're being vulnerable.
I love the comment. We won't show up as the expert if I show up vulnerable. So how many of you listening take the stage with a desire to show up as the expert and you equal that to perfection? You equal that to polished. You equal that to your professional self, your professional persona. If that is you, put "that's me" in the comment section so we know who we're talking to. So, Taria, what did you make vulnerability mean in your head?
Like I said, weak. Okay, exposed. you
Mm,
know, being open to be judged, all of those negative things, right? And I looked at vulnerability as something that had to be guarded,
I,
and so my guard was always, up about, around myself, around, the tough things, and that's the thing that, that I want to share, like all the challenges, all the not so good things. Like, we don't necessarily want people to know that we're struggling in the way that we do. Like you said, we have to
yeah,
need to show up, perfect, right? And if our picture of what we have as perfection in our mind, if we're not living that, then, we somehow feel like we're an imposter and we don't want to be found out. So it's that kind of trap, that you just keep in this cycle of,
yeah.
not being vulnerable, showing up as perfect. You're not perfect. Things aren't perfect, but you're still going to
You're
go
doing,
along.
you're
Yeah,
doing
you're
it
going to
anyway.
go along with the game anyway. And it's kind of like a vicious, crazy cycle.
You know,
So,
I'm so glad you said that, and I'll share a little bit of a story, just to give you how where vulnerability was for me. So when I first started speaking, I worked with a beautiful gentleman by the name of Mr. David Wood, and I talk about David often when I talk about speaking. I think he is like the master. And David would always say to me, when authentic, vulnerable Suzanne shows up on stage, it would be all over. And I'd always look at him and go, that is not going to happen, because I just the thought of exposing myself the way I thought he was talking about, was like, no, it's not going to happen. He'd say, I want you to tell your truth. I want you to tell the things that you may not want to share with the audience. And I was like, I am not going to do this. So he kept telling me this, and then he said, just tell your real story. So I took the stage and I told my real story. And I've said this before. I told the story of being financially upside down, physically exhausted, and in a broken marriage. I told the story of not liking my job. I told the story of looking at my bank account and it was empty, every credit card maxed out. And then I talked about how I got into network marketing and things began to shift. And I brought the audience on a journey. Taria, when I got off stage, I felt like naked. I felt like I had done the one thing my mother has told me not to do. I put our business on the street.
yeah.
That's what it felt like. I put our business on the street. But this is when it shifted. I remember a woman came up to me. She was in a red dress, tears. And I thought, oh dear, what did I do to this poor woman? And she said, thank you for sharing that. Now I know I can do this. And I looked at her, wow. And then someone else came up to me and said, you were speaking to me. Someone else came up to me, and I kept getting these comments of connection. And what I realized, Sharia, in my perfect self, that I
Yeah.
had put distance between me and the audience. And in my vulnerable self, it was almost like the room came face to face with me. It's like I stepped off the stage and walked in the room, and they could touch me and feel me. They connected with me. And I finally got what he said. Vulnerability is not a weakness, it's actually a strength. So I want to share with the audience a little bit about your journey, because Tree and I have worked together, and you've been on your speaker journey. So as she said, she was like, vulnerability is weakness. I am not going to show it. I'm going to show up all perfect, just like I did, just like many of us did. And can you share what happened that had you see what it was like for you in the world when you were not being vulnerable? What occurred?
Yeah. So I'm going to share two things, because I think my story around vulnerability is twofold, right? So I think I had a personal vulnerability moment, and then I had a public, lesson around vulnerability, right? And so I remember, and this is how actually you and I, came to work together. So I remember going through like some really tough times in my business. And, when I tell a story, people hear me, saying the same thing. I say it all the time. Like there was a point, like I hit that wall in my business. And I was just like, what the heck? What the heck is it that's blocking me from getting to my next level of success? Right now, what people don't know is the thing that made me ask that question. So I was at a place in my business where in 1 month I lost 5 clients. Okay,
Ooh,
5 clients in 1 month. And literally, I was like, what the heck? It just
that would do it.
happened, right? What just happened? And I think that was the lesson right there. And that it was showing me that, you know what? Things aren't right. And how long are you going to continue, like you said, to show up and play the perfect role, like things are perfect, instead of being vulnerable and asking for the help that you truly need, right? And then I started to say to myself, like, I know it's not another program. I know it's not another software. I know it's not another tool that I need to invest in, that I need to buy. Like, what is it? And the
Stop,
answer to
stop,
the
stop there for a moment, because I want to ask this question for everyone that's listening, because this is good. Because how many of you have focused on the skills, the craft,
yeah,
the experience, the tool, the widget, the gadget, and then it's still not moving, and that's where we're taught to put our focus. And so
mhm,
you're realizing that I got all this, and you're very good at what you do, because you
yeah,
do what you do for me. You're my strategist, so you're very good at what you do. So you've got all this, but clients are not staying.
yeah.
So now what?
Yeah. And so I started to ask that question, right? And the question led in, to the internal journey. So I realized that it was me. Right. And so I go on this journey. And of course, I'm working with you, and we're doing all of the wonderful mindset stuff, and I'm loving it. But once again, I'm letting the outside just see the perfect things. Okay. And so
Mm,
when I show up, I still wasn't showing up from the place where I'm talking about the experience. So that's the first lesson, the personal lesson on vulnerability. And oh my gosh, it's almost like God said, you get it, but you still don't get it. So I'm going to make you really get it. And so what he does is that he lands me in a tree 300 feet above the ground. Like I said, I was 3 feet away from looking God in the eye. I could literally reach out and touch God, courtesy of Suzanne Hart, by the way. Okay. And he allowed me to get stuck on a platform with 6 other people. And let me just say this. How many of you have ever been so terrified, so scared, like you're literally pissed? So I hope I'm not offending anyone on the broadcast, but like I was peed off. I was angry, okay, that I had to be stuck in this tree. And the thing about it is, being stuck in the tree, everybody else in the tree, was 6 of us. Everybody else is having a good time. People are hanging off the sides, people chilling, just telling jokes. And I'm like, nobody realizes that we're stuck in a tree and we've been here for 3.5 hours. Okay. And the thing about it is, it wasn't until, I started to unpack, the situation with you. You asked me a question. It was such a pivotal question. And you said, oh my gosh, Taria, well, why didn't you tell other people that you were scared? And like it
mm,
never dawned on me, to be vulnerable, to say that I'm scared out of my mind. Okay. While y'all are having fun, like literally panicking on the inside.
mm.
Okay. And the thing about it was, it made me think about how I showed up in my life. on a regular basis. Like, what happens when I am confronted with those hard, those difficult, those scary, things in my life? How do I shut people out? How do, I not let people in? How do I not ask for help? And then it dawned on me, oh my gosh, how do I show up in my business? And what's
Mm.
the of this on my clients when I'm not open, when I'm not vulnerable? And it was like the most amazing thing. Like, after I started to share, the story of like literally being scared out my wits. And I can't, and for all you fixers, because I'm a fixer, I'm a strategist. I strategize on fixing problems. Okay. So all you fixers, it was a problem that I could not fix. I could not fix myself, out of the tree. Okay. And then it gave me that insight to how my clients must feel when I'm asking them to do things and I'm asking them to take these steps, and they're scared out of
Mm.
their mind. Right. And I stayed, like you said, like in the how, right? I wanted to just stay in the space from click here, move this here, do this, you'll be just fine. But until, I was confronted with that fear, and I knew exactly how fear looked, how I showed up when I was afraid, I was able to recognize fear in my clients and walk them through that. And like literally almost overnight, my business turned around.
Ah, that is such a great story. And this is the beauty of it. And someone may want to write this down. We connect in our pain. We
Yeah.
connect in our vulnerable places. We connect in those places where we just want to know someone else has been there or is there or can understand. So the power of story, and not sharing the story of your bio and all your accolades, but sharing the story, I like to say, when life ran you over, backed up and sat on your chest, and you were praying like, can I ever get up? It's those stories you want to tell, the ones about the messiest moments in your life, because your clients actually want to know, will you get me? Because secretly they're saying, my life is messy. My life isn't where I want it to be. If I could only just share with you what's going on. But if we don't share and we show up in all our perfection, we don't have the authenticity that creates the space for someone to share. We also don't earn the right for the client to be willing to be vulnerable with us. It's almost like I'm gonna model for you what is available when you partner with me.
Yeah.
And you tell that story so well. So you say instantly your business shifts. Talk a little bit about what that looks like and feels like.
So, first of all, it's an amazing feeling because I think the pressure came off on both ends, right? So, for me, like the pressure of being perfect, um, struggles, that pressure is gone. And so I found myself being able to talk about other things, outside of my skill set, because it's life, right? It's life, and we all go through life, we all have challenges, and that's what people really want. People really want, to connect. And it also gave me, the courage to have the true conversation, like with my clients, and saying, hey, I'm the person to journey with. Okay. So it's not like, we're just here for a project or we're just here short term. I get it. And because I get it, I'm committed, to working through it with you. You don't have to do it on your
Yeah.
own. Okay. And so it allowed me to have that conversation. And then it also allowed, clients to open up, to me as well. Okay. And so they started sharing other areas. And it's so amazing because things that I never thought that my clients would care about, they started to ask me, like, oh my gosh, what book are you reading? Like, how do you do that? Like, how do you do this and how do you do that? And so it's a different, relationship. And so businesses now joyful. I get up every day excited, because I know on a deeper level the people who I'm called to serve. Okay.
You
And it's that commitment there.
it's interesting because as you were talking, I remember before I got to this place where I was willing to be transparent and vulnerable, I was always underweight. And I would always say, why can't I gain weight? And I joke, it's because I was working so hard being perfect and looking good. It took a lot of energy. I kid
That's
you
burning calories.
not. Yeah. And everything I did was stressful because I had to keep up this beautiful facade of I know it, I get it, I can do it. No, I don't know it. I don't always get it. And I'm as confused as the next person in a lot of areas. And so it really took the pressure off. But this is the other thing. I want to speak to this a little bit. I often tell everyone who's looking at speaking and storytelling as the process is when you take the stage, and the stage could be you're sitting in front of one-on-one client, the stage could be a small group, the stage could be 1,000 people. When you take the stage, you drop your bio, and then you go into these, this is, let's teach you my content. I'm here to give you good content. And you miss the part of the story. What happens is you miss the part for connection to happen. And I define it as you can make a sale of a product, but you will not enroll the person. And people who buy products hop from person to person, place to place. If you want a loyal client, you're going to say that?
Yeah.
Right? But if you want a loyal client, you've got to enroll them. And what I mean by enroll them, they have to not only buy the product, they have to buy into you. They have to buy you. And once that happens, it's a deeper connection. And now they're like, I'm getting to know this. This person cares about me. We have a relationship that is beyond a product or a service where I feel cared for, I feel inspired, I feel accountable, connected with, I feel understood. And it's a totally different place and space to work from. And in order to cultivate that relationship, we are required to set it up by modeling the vulnerability, the authenticity, the transparency that actually lays the foundation for that.
Yeah. And I was just about to say, I have to chime in on that part because that was like the biggest learn for me. So before you said jump from product to product, right? People used to price shop me. Okay, so I know if you're a business owner, you're an entrepreneur, like you know what that is. Like when you stay like in what you do, you stay in the technical, people say, oh, and this is where the picking your brain, like I have so many stories, like the picking the brain conversations and people, coming, because now what they're literally doing, they're taking like all the skills and all the things that you say, the technical things that you could do, and they're like shopping you, right?
Yeah.
And they're trying to find out like where can I go to get the same thing like at a cheaper price. Okay, so you remember I said I lost 5 clients in 1 month, right? And like it didn't dawn on me like that's what people were like literally doing until I shifted, right? And then when I made that shift, the amazing things started to happen. People were like, no, you're my person. And I literally listened to one of my clients say that to me. She's just like, you are my person. You get me. And what was so amazing, and I'm just going to be totally transparent, right? What was so amazing is like, I'm sitting down here thinking, oh, am I going to price this right? Da 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 da. And I was able to not only enroll her, but be able to enroll her into a bigger vision for her business
Yeah.
that includes, other people in my network. Okay. And that's the power of it. Like when you know that you have that connection with people and they're willing to journey and you're actually helping them to expand their vision, you know that you're a part of their vision and they know that you're a part of their vision. It's just such a different, beautiful way of working.
It is. It
And,
is.
and that's what I desire.
It actually creates ease and flow in your work. Jason is saying true connection and growth is born from pain. He's putting that out there. I love what Ryan's saying. He said, I learned that being vulnerable with my audience allows me to empathize with them instead of just sympathize. Ooh.
I love that Ryan said that. Yeah, so I'm gonna let you take first stab at that, and then I'm gonna come back at it because that's really great.
He went there, and this is so true, because sympathy is that thing of, oh yeah, I get you, I get you, I
Feel
get you,
sorry.
right? But it's I get you
Yeah.
from a distance,
Hmm.
right? To empathize is when you can, it's when you connect with someone. For me, right? I connect with, and I may not have the same experience exactly, but I can connect to something that has caused me a similar pain, a similar breakdown, a similar loss, a similar feeling of being upside down or naked. It's when we can create those places and spaces where we connect and there's a feeling of common ground. And it's interesting because when you work from that place, you will have people that will wait to work with you. Like, I don't have the money right now, but I'll be back, because it's no longer about the money. It's about feeling connected. It's about feeling gotten. It's about feeling that this person, let me put it this way. It's a heart to heart place,
Hmm.
right? It's a heart to heart place. And a head to head place is it's common. We get those all the time. But that heart to heart place is that's when people feel like you hear me, you see me, and people want to be seen, heard, and recognized.
Yeah.
So that was me taking a stab at it. You go now. You go, girl.
No, but I love it, right? Because that's the whole point. Like I hear so many things being in the social media space, and I've had the opportunity to be a part of communities, talk to a lot of coaches and consultants, and I hear the challenges and the struggles in the business, right? And I love what you just said. You said that empathy creates a space where people are willing to wait to work with you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why that stood out for me is, a lot of times we kind of look at things backwards, right? We look at things the wrong way. Okay. And so we get frustrated because people aren't taking the actions that we desire, for them to take right away. But it's having that connection will keep someone with you, right? Draw them to you. And then they're just, like I said, putting things in place so they'll be willing to work with you, and that's the difference, right? And so when I think of sympathy, it's like no one really wants sympathy. That's
Yeah.
the best way to put it, right? No, but what they want to feel is understood. What they want to feel is like you understand them, like you understand where they are, and there's the connection.
You just brought me to a thought of empowered, and people throw around that word. It's a common word, empower people. And I think what story does is it has an ability to empower. And what I mean by empower, I want to unpack the word so we're all on the same page. What I mean by empower is you can have a person walk into a room feeling broken that day, feeling beat up, feeling hopeless, feeling I don't know where to turn or what to do. And all the content in the world won't shake that because they don't actually need more information. And but when you and I are willing to share a story that they connect with, where they see us go from where they are or a similar place of where they are to where we are today, that is empowering. And what empowering means, it's almost like a person goes from feeling broken to feeling hopeful to be willing to take a stand for themselves and their life. And I truly believe that when we are making an offer, the first thing we are required to do, I tell everyone that I work with, when before you make the sale, the person must stand up. And what I mean by stand up, it's almost like they go from, I don't know, to, yeah. And I go, it's almost like you paint a picture and at some point they pick up the brush themselves and they start adding stuff to your painting that is of their own creation because now they've stepped into possibility with you. And they'll be like, oh, and, because they start seeing something. And the beautiful thing of story is it takes us out of here and it puts us in here, but it also puts us into vision. And when I and you can see something that's possible beyond our present situation, that is the beginning.
Yeah.
Right? So it's our job to empower and inspire.
Yep. Yep.
Right?
I love it. And I just have to say, right, these are the things that you're using, words that we hear in the marketplace. Like if you're a marketer, and we all are marketers, right? If
Yeah,
you're these are the words that people use in copy all the time: empower, inspire, influence, all of that stuff. But like, really, do you really get like what it means, and
yeah.
are you the embodiment of that, or is it just like fancy words on your copy? So I love that.
Yeah, I love Sue. Sue Fields is commenting and she's saying, "So good. I'm with you on that." She's tracking us, and she goes, "Yes, people want to belong." Thank you so much, Sue. And I know Sue is also someone who takes the stage and has a great capacity to be vulnerable and has some great stories. Some great stories. This is a powerful woman that has joined us this evening. I want to talk about content because you alluded to content, and you
Mhm.
are the social media strategist, and you are my social media strategist. I want to talk about how someone, when they step onto a social media platform, how do they now take story to create engagement and to increase their engagement?
Yeah, so really and truly, that's what it is. It's all about story. And that's why I love social media, because social media, you have the opportunity to create story in different formats, through your content. So we have content that's video. So when you do your video content, whether it's a Facebook live, a LinkedIn live, a YouTube live, Instagram, are you just turning on your camera and then you're stating facts? Because that used to be me. I'm going to be honest, that used to be me. Like, let's get to the training, pull out your pen, pull out your paper, and I'm just going to give you content, and I'm going to tell you some amazing data.
Been there, been there.
It is so amazing data. Everybody needs data, right? And what I had to get is that, the data, all the tools, the steps, everything that you're teaching, the content really doesn't land until the content has context. And the way how you create the context is that you have to create the story. You have to bring it alive. And that's why I love social media. Social media is like one big storyboard. Let me just put it that way, right? It's one big storyboard, and your company, how you serve, it just plays out on that beautiful storyboard with all the different types of content that you could create.
And you know, one of the things that you share all the time, and I want you to talk a lot about this a little bit, because you talk about it's one big storyboard, and oftentimes what you drew to my attention is people get on social media when they have a sale, they have something they
Mhm.
need to market, they have something that's on special, and they're now like, here's the thing. And what you're telling me and what you've taught me, and makes social media so fun, is it's like we're constant in the weaving of the story, day in, day out, and we're creating the know, like, and trust through story, right? And then that's what creates the context for us to make an offer, invite for something. It's showing up consistently and unpacking the layers of who we are and our journey, our clients' journeys, the fun stuff about us, the quirky stuff about us, the funny stuff about us, the stuff we were like, ooh, I mean, for me, it's always, you know, let me tell you the lessons on the lessons along the way, um, and how upside down I have been. It's those stories that need to be told before we go and say, can you come to my course, come buy this. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, because you know that's what I was gonna say. It's so amazing that you know, and I have to say guilty too, because I used to do it, right?
Oh, me too.
Guilty. Like, how do you know, expect for someone, to work with you, right? And you teach them, you say, hey, this is the stuff, but people really don't know who you are. They don't know your preferences. They don't know your style. They don't know or understand your heart of service, and not because it's their fault. You just did not give them the opportunity to be a part, of that world. Okay, and that's the thing that I find, when even for me, when I choose a coach or I choose someone to work with, right? It's the checking out, and people use that word all the time, the checking out.
Yeah,
Like, I have
yeah,
to check them out. Okay, but really and truly, what's the best way for someone to check you out? And
yeah.
I say this all the time. The mistake that a lot, people guilty, I used to do it, is wait until they purchase to create that experience. Okay. And not realizing that people are experiencing you long before you know that they're experiencing you. And this is the thing that I want everybody to get. Like, I'm coming from a space of social media. Social media is one big experience. Like, start to
I
think
love
about it. It's one big experience. And when people experience you, what are they going to get? That's the
it. You know,
thing. What are they putting out there that they're going to get?
and you know, that is so true. Recently, I had someone reach out to me, from the U.S., from Texas. I'm Canadian, so I'm your friend from the north, and she sent me an email and shared something that was going on, and I just thought, I can't respond to this by email, so I told her to call me, and I put my number, and I put my link, and I said, set an appointment, call me, and she did, and she was like, I didn't think you were going to ask me to call you, and I said, I couldn't answer this via email. It was like, it just wouldn't create the same thing. But this was the interesting thing. I was like, so where did you hear about me? She said, you did a video on YouTube. And when
Mhm.
I watched it, I said, I need to connect with this woman. She experienced me, because I wasn't talking about a product. I was talking about how I cast vision and how I set goals, and the importance of it. And I was having a conversation with a friend, and that's what she saw. And I can't tell you how many people have just been following me and having an experience of me. And then when they call me or they reach out to me, they're connecting with me because they feel like they know me. They have a sense of me. And I think that's the most powerful thing. And we you and I talk about attracting our divine client. And it's when they experience you, you become attractive, and they're like, yeah, that's my person. They know me. We have stuff in common, and now they're reaching out to you.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
so much
and yeah, it's so much fun, and it never gets old. That's what I'm trying to say. It never gets old, right? Because you have those beautiful surprises on the journey
yeah.
where will reach out to you, and they might be new to you. Okay, so you've never, seen their name, or you've never had the opportunity to meet them. And then when you connect with them, they're able to go back and tell you, oh, you did this, and I saw when you did this, and this particular video touched me. You shared this with me, and I've been able, and you're like, really? Let me go back and watch that video
Absolutely.
again.
Absolutely.
Go back and watch that again. Like, what did I say? And so
Absolutely.
that's for me that never gets old. So it's the
No, it's
experience.
not. It's not. It is, and it makes it all worthwhile. And
Yeah.
so I see a few people on that are I love it. One of the Facebook, one person saying Amen,
Yes,
Amen.
that's Donna. Hi, Donna. And Donna 4. Thank you,
She's like
Donna.
Amen. I love it. I love it. So why we're talking about this is one of the things that Sharia and I collaborate on is we do a storytelling program called Unleash the Power of Your Story, and we are jumping into it this weekend. So we have been doing a whole series of just giving people a little bit of a glimpse into storytelling. And why? Because I truly believe it's your access to great content and great marketing. So what we're doing Friday and Saturday is really helping people craft their brand story. And why their brand story is because we all have a brand story. And the brand story is a story that tells your divine client why you exist, not what you do, but why you do what you do, what passion, purpose, cause has inspired you to go on the journey. That's what it tells. And it's a heart to heart connection designed to move your divine client. I tell people a story is like the best word I have is a dog whistle. A dog
Mm,
is a frequency that only dogs can hear. And your story is an emotional frequency that only your divine clients actually hear. And we tell stories because I believe that there's people I'm called to serve. There's people that Sue's called to serve. I know there's people that Ryan is called to serve. I know there's people that Sue's called to serve. Cindy's called to serve. Hello, Farrah. Farrah's called to serve. We all have a purpose and we have a tribe that's waiting for us. In order for them to find us, we have to show up as our authentic self and tell the world the journey that we've been on that creates us as who they see today. So Tria, tell everybody where they can find out more information.
yes. So you could actually go to virtualspeakermastery.com. And actually, I'm just going to go ahead and drop the link into the comment section so everyone will be able to see it. So it's virtual. I'm making sure I spell it
And
correctly.
if you're joining us tomorrow, put going. See you there. Let us know who you are. I see a few people that are already registered on the line. I know Ryan's joining us. I know Cindy's joining us. Yeah, it's going to be a fun time. And
Yeah.
so that's why we do it, so that you can make marketing and social media and speaking fun,
Yeah.
like
And I just,
playground fun.
oh, yes. And I just wanted to say, um, there are so many questions that people have around story. And one of the biggest questions that they have is like, what is a story, or which story do I tell? And which story do I tell? And then how do I share the story that allows me to be seen as the expert? And Suzanne, and I'm just letting everyone know that was one of the biggest questions that I had in my business. And one of the things that prevented me, from sharing my story is
Mm,
because I didn't know, what story to tell. I have like a million of them.
yeah.
And I used to be like, well, nobody wants to hear the story, right? Nobody wants to hear this story because the way how I was going to tell it was not showcasing me as the expert at all. It would have gone with some sympathy, not empathy. And I didn't want that. Right. So it wasn't until I started to work with you, and I'm a product. Okay. I'm just letting everyone know I'm a product of Unleash the Power of Your Story. It wasn't that I started to work with you, like I really got clear on what the story is, like what's the right story and how to share the story. And it was so amazing as I started to share the story, how
Mm,
many people started to raise their hand and say, I could identify. and
yeah.
and to and to be honest, like I didn't thought that that was possible. I was that person walking through the world thinking no one wants to hear my story. Like there
And
are tons of other stories out there. Mine is not one of them.
and
That's
I
gonna
think
matter.
it's because we all think we have to have the I survived a fire, walked on water, jumped out of a plane story. And it's no, it's average story because people are average and they're looking for people to connect with their everyday stuff, their everyday struggles, their everyday challenges. I see Cassandra, hey sis, out there. And Veronica, hello, Miss Veronica. Reach out to me, girlfriend, because I have been looking for you. I have some stuff for you, hon. Um, and so people want to know that they want to know that their struggles are struggles that are normal that entrepreneurs go through. So it's not a big grandiose story that you have to have. The the challenge is learning how to tell your story in the right way that has people see your brilliance, your gifting, they feel your compassion, and they connect with you. The touch, move, and inspire story.
Yeah. And
All right.
so yeah, I just have to say for anyone who knows that this is their next step, okay? You don't want to hesitate. You want to reach out. You want to first go to the page, check the page out, virtualspeakermastery.com. And then if you need to have a conversation, you could have a conversation with either Suzanne or
Yeah.
myself. Okay, because like I said, I was that person, who had questions around story, didn't know what story, didn't know even if I needed to tell a story. And the minute I got it, things shift. Okay. And
Mm.
we shared, how I got to the lessons.
I won't put everybody in a tree. We were ziplining. Put that little thing in. She didn't tell you. I don't put everybody in a tree. We were actually ziplining. All right. Tria, thank you so much for hanging out with me. It's always fun and playful when we get together and have these conversations. And thank each and every one of you for hanging out with us and giving us your time, putting your comments in the comment section. We will definitely go back and look at your comments more closely. I know we got to go visit a few platforms. My name is Suzanne Hart. I have been sitting down with social media strategist Taria Hodge. This is Unstoppable Mindset, where we work to reset your thinking so you can live life filled with passion and purpose. We will be back here next Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we are starting a conversation on cultural competency, diversity, inclusion, a little bit of the race conversation. That's it's going to be all month long. The mindset behind being an inclusive leader. Inclusive leadership is going to be our next series. So make sure and tune in. We have a power pack lineup, some great guests. So I will see you next Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Until then, please know you're brilliant. Know you are extra special. And the world is waiting for you to put your unique gifts into the marketplace. Stay blessed, and we will talk to you soon.
All right. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.